AEP 800, Dr. Moody, Module 5. This is Google Slides on Web 2.0, digital to divide, and barriers against it. This is a list of standards that I chose. I chose 4 from each category, so 8 total. These will also be posted on my Google community in my post for more viewing. A brief summary as it pertains to me and what I got from this article. Number one, as I see it at professional development at my school on a daily basis, and when you hear things through different seminars, but also through this article we read, technology is obviously currently being added each year, whether it's new devices or new instruction techniques or apps, new systems, but it's constantly evolving. My school is one that has good economic status as far as finances and resources. We have one technology teacher full-time and one technology specialist full-time. So they are at campus from the beginning of the day's bell to the end of the day's bell, 5 days a week. And their sole job is to help us with any kind of malfunctions, functionings, downloading, and then obviously implementing technology into lesson plans, daily lessons, curriculums, etc. What I got from this article on leadership, and then kind of starting at the top, our superintendent in our district is a big advocate of technology, social media, trying to get technology involved in our classroom, in our school, and positive images in our community as far as our students and kids. So it starts with him, it goes to our principals, and then on down the line to to the teachers and hopefully into the classrooms and students. Again, student skill sets to enter the 21st century. Reading this article as it pertains to a lot of the things, I agree a lot of it. I think it is going to help these kids, collaborate more, really get out there and challenge in college and next level courses, possible grad courses such as what I'm doing right now. But I think it helps their skill sets into the 21st century. Again, whether we like it or not, technology is there. And then, kind of the divide I got or felt like I read about, White Knoll High School where I'm at and Lexington 1 School District where I'm at is a 2.0 school. It is a one-to-one school. We are very fortunate with finances and resources. Go 10 minutes down the road, and school district's completely opposite. Not good situation. So you can see the budget cuts. The emphasis is not always put on technology, and sometimes the preparation and the lack of time because you might have to do a couple extra things to understand it is kind of thrown to the wayside. So if there's no vision and emphasis, it'll show in the schools. The first topic at hand or question is, can this divide be resolved? I don't think it can be resolved. I think it's all about money, and it's just like everything else in our world. You're going to have upper class, middle class, lower class. You're going to have different parts of the pyramid. Certain people have budget cuts, and then the leaders have to decide what are you cutting and getting rid of, and sometimes that is technology. You have community, demographics. You have old school leaders, and I don't mean that in a negative way whatsoever. You just have certain principals and leaders that have been doing this for a long time, which bring great experience to the table. But maybe they just haven't adapted to the modern day social, media / technology and bringing it into the classroom. So sometimes if that leader doesn't, then there's no vision or emphasis put into the technology in the school, and that will reflect. So again, with the basis of money and finances, with all this stuff costing, I just think you have so many different levels of resources out there. I just don't think you can totally resolve this divide. But I do think with mobile and personal devices, I think the gap can be closed. I joke with my kids a lot about they might not come to school with a pair of shoes, but they'll have the iPhone 15. So these kids and families are going to have the best cell phones and smartphones out there. And I say that kind of as a joke, but in all seriousness, like with them having these personal devices, I think it can it can help at least close the gaps on. Skill sets for the 21st century. I mean, 100% collaboration. You're going to have to talk, going to have to communicate, you're going to have to, constantly, collaborate with people. So I think that's always going to be there, whether it's electronically or in person. Solving problems, problem solving, thinking critically. You got to think on your feet. You got to be able to, think outside the box. Don't accept just common everyday answers. Learn to challenge in a positive way. Learn to challenge the system, the approaches. That's how our society advances and gets better. Punctuality, I think you need to show up on time. With my baseball players, I use the phrase, if you're on time, you're late. So if I tell them 7, they need to be there at 6:45. So really big on punctuality. Time management and multitasking go hand in hand. Our world, there's so many things going on. We're such a society now of being efficient and practical in time, and just you got to be able to manage your time and be versatile and multitask. I mean, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, I'm an assistant athletic director. I'm now a student again. I got so many things on my plate. I got to have time management, and so do these kids. And then lastly, like again, we are in a world of technology, so I think these kids need to be proficient in Microsoft Excel, Word, and the list goes on how to communicate through, online resources. I'm 35 years old, thought I might be done with school, but here I am again, back in school, and it's virtual school online, which is technology. So I think to get ahead of the curve, these kids need to implement technology and have a skill set to help them, once they get out in the real world. How it's affected me, personally. I have a Twitter account. I try to use the Twitter account more for a platform for White Knoll High School, athletically, baseball, students, community, coaches, other teams, band. We had a golfer win a state championship yesterday, so, just tried to use that to get her name out there. So anything that I can do positive through my Twitter account. I got parents that follow, people in the community that follow, other students and athletes that follow. So you just want to try to make a positive face, through social media. We just often hear so many negative things that you want to try to be positive. So I try to use that. FaceTime, my little girl FaceTimes her grandparents. When I grew up, it was a phone call on the landline at home here and there. You saw them at Christmas, Thanksgiving. And again, if they're out of town grandparents, it's just a way to connect with them, and they can see Lawson. It's through a phone, but it's better than nothing. And then see her, grow up a little bit when they can't see her in person. Every day, Google research, use it in my classroom with my classes, have them research little media scavenger hunts, trivia questions, personal browsing myself. If I need an answer, I go to Google to find it. Constantly researching like new project ideas, different things of that nature. Google Maps, plug addresses in all the time, get me places. I'd be lost probably without it now. And then Google Drive, our school's really big on Google Drive, just a system of where we post any kind of like school-wide information from the bell schedule to fire drills to staff directory, anything that needs to go school-wide, posted on Drive, always accessible, be able to pull it up. And then lastly, online education. Here again, I'm 35 years old. 11 years ago when I walked in a classroom, I physically walked in. Now I'm in Lexington, South Carolina, and virtually taking classes in a program and hopefully earning a degree from a school in Kansas. So it's online education. I'm using it right now. Technology training, I think it's an evolving door with Schoolology. It's a system we use for parents to be able to check on their kids' grades and assignments. Are they turning them in? Are they tardy? Are they absent? Making sure they're not skipping school. You can throw questions in there. It mixes them up and makes a quiz for you, a test for you. You can do discussion boards and student apps through it, and those are 2 items I have down that I need to constantly train and get better. We're also a big Google school. I mean, Google Chrome, Google Hangouts, Google Community I'm now using through this course in grad school. So just continuously learning. Google Drive, but the 2 biggest ones are Schoolology and Google, just continuously learning how to implement those in my classroom and learning everything that they can do. And I think it makes, it easier, and I think a better transition and a better teacher to implement this stuff. And it also makes it easier to share with peers and other people through the school building. Lexington School District 1. We are, my district it's got 5 high schools in it. We are a Web 2.0 school. We are one-to-one. Every student has an iPad. Every teacher has an iPad and a MacBook Air. Every classroom has Elmo projectors, smart boards, and Apple TVs. And again, our school runs off of a Google system and Schoology. So all these, I'm sure there's some things that's in the system that I don't know. But as far as technology, but we have all these. We're very fortunate, to have these, and it does make life a lot easier at times, even though sometimes the technology can be frustrating. Web 2.0 positives, advantages. Our modern day kids, I think they're engulfed in electronics and devices and smartphones and iPads. So let's reach to them, let's connect with them, let's meet them halfway, let's don't fight it. I think it's almost one of them give ownership back. Don't kind of trick them into let's get educated with various subjects and let's implement these subjects in math and the sciences and the histories. And let's use electronics and technology and let's reach them. I think it provides accountability and responsibility. I mean, they got to have these iPads. My class works off an iPad. If we're doing projects or collaborative learning, like the students have to have their iPads. It can't be left at home. They got to remember to plug it in so it's charged. It can't break the screen. It can't be at the help desk. They need to have it every day. So and you learn to take care of something that costs hundreds of dollars. I think it's constant means of communication, not only with the child, but the parent and the community. I just think it's always constant. Just with technology today, it's hard, almost impossible not to get in touch with somebody. And then I think between our Facebook page at White Knoll, our web page at White Knoll, our Twitter accounts, like we can constantly let the community, parents, kids, the Schoology pages, like upcoming events, when do report cards go out, do we have a pep rally, homecoming, recognition for people that have success. I just think it's constant in, allowing the community to know what's going on as well as the parents. And then just again, 21st century skills that's been named through this, article and presentation. Some disadvantages, I feel like is the biggest one. I think I'm gonna name a couple. At the bottom, criminal acts, but that's just thefts. It seems like in our PE locker rooms, we want to steal the iPads, steal the cell phones, want to go sell them. So have some theft. Some basic stuff is just sometimes classroom disruptions when you are trying to lecture a little bit, but the kids still have the cell phones or the iPads out, or they're on the wrong, app or a bad site or something. We try to block as many as we can, but just classroom disruptions. Anytime, obviously up front, this stuff costs. It costs to have the technology teachers in the building. Anytime it breaks or anything to that nature, it costs to get fixed. So obviously costs. Kids forget them on a daily basis. They're not charged. Sometimes in the school building, depending on where you are, the Wi-Fi gets weak or down. And then sometimes just a mishap in the machine. It's failure to work. So sometimes these things can be very frustrating. The biggest thing I'd say is it hinders communication. I think it's easy to send emails, texts, tweets, and we lose that face-to-face contact, face-to-face communication, face-to-face discussion, and you just don't want to see the personal in-person skills be taken away. But sometimes that's happened lately. Lastly, cyberbullying. I really personally have a whole lot of to do with this one. Again, I just have never. It's never really directly happened to me, but I mean, obviously you hear stories. I think the biggest thing with cyberbullying, it is a real world issue. I think people can gang up on people, bully people. I've heard stories of some males kind of doing that to females with pictures and Twitter and social media. I think the biggest thing is just trying to constantly educate the kids. I try to do that with my baseball players every time I hear something. But just it is real, and you just constantly try to educate them on how to handle social media.